happy crunch week. Here you can see I just have the nose piece hood thing on the Exocet for the first time. And you can see that it looks pretty cool. I put the two front tires on so you can kind of get a visual here. Anyways, what we're gonna need to do is kind of, if I come over here, you can see where I got my line. We're gonna have to make a cut there so that we can get our charge pipes for the turbo fitting on there, so the hood itself can fit further back on the frame. So that's gonna be the first thing that I get after today. I can tell you that at least the fiberglass is durable enough to fall from there to the floor, because when I was putting that front tire on, it fell and landed directly on the point of the front. So that was totally awesome and made a great start to my day in the garage. But I'm gonna start with that first, then we're gonna build some seat mounts. So 5 days left, let's go. All right, so again, we're gonna have to mount this. You can see we're touching on both sides for our turbo intercooler there. So we're gonna have to trim out here. Now what I was thinking originally is I was gonna take that and I was just gonna follow the kind of the chassis tube and go down to there and then over, but I might just take a section out of the middle here, just enough for that charge pipe to get through the bodywork there. So we don't have to cut that whole side out, and you can see exactly where that lines up over here. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a Sharpie on the inside, and I'm just gonna kind of mark the borders of that, and then use the body saw to trim that out of there. So anyways, there it sets. It's gonna be a pretty cool looking toy. All right, well, no time to mess around. All right, well, I did some scribbling, I did some measuring, and the best I could come up with is this. So I just used actually a nice hose clamp as a radius there, and kind of looked at where the charge tube is at the bottom, how far I have to come. The hood has to slide back about 5.5, almost 6 inches. So that's about how far that is. This side has to be a little bit lower than this one, but I tried to make them as symmetrical as possible. So that's going to be the plan. I'm gonna cut that out so that the hood can slide back. So I tried marking it first, then it was a lot easier just to see this little tape. So I'm gonna use that as my reference, and I'm gonna cut away some fiberglass. So that's the final answer, sticking with it, and there's no going back once I cut that. Wish me luck. Well, that's how you ruin a perfectly good fiberglass hood. Let's find out how close we are here. Much better than before. All right, so this side, we're pretty darn good. I think if we go another inch out, maybe another inch on both sides. This corner here is gonna have to, this is gonna have to go. I don't know if it's better just to go straight down, forget the radius. I don't know if it's worth having this bit down here. So, I mean, if we're just gonna have a little piece jutting out here, I don't really see the point of it. So maybe we'll kind of come around here and continue that on a diagonal down. It's kind of, I'm looking at it from the camera perspective here, and that really doesn't give you very much insight. So I'm going to think about it. I'm going to ponder here for a moment, come up with a plan. All right, well, here's the second cut, and it's looking better. You can see how I just took this out a little bit further. We are getting further back here. This here is supposed to sit about a little bit on top of this tube here. So we only have to go back maybe another 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch maybe. So we're gonna just maybe take that another ½ inch there, and that'll be pretty good. Obviously running out of room here. So this side, we're a little bit tight, so, you know, another ½ inch there. So I just, you know, don't want to do that stupid move where, you know, I cut this damn thing twice, 3 times, and it's still too short. We're just kind of nibbling away a little bit at a time, getting rid of some of that fiberglass there. So I'm gonna take a little bit off more on both sides, and I think one more cut and we should be done. And then I'll have to figure out the mounting tabs and things like that. All right, well, you can see my final notch. Now we have to mount with these. You're provided 4 of these that mount somewhere in this general vicinity, maybe one up top, one on the bottom. Again, kind of builder's preference. If you email Kevin, he's gonna tell you that basically people are just kind of building a standoff here and putting some foam on it or something as kind of a friction fit, and then just 2 hood pin releases on the back so you can take it off by yourself. So I kind of was on and off with the hood about 5 times until I found a spot where I think these will be reasonable. And all I'm gonna do is we're gonna mount this directly to this round tube on the front. So it kind of holds the front of the hood piece, cowl thing off of the frame. And then there's supposed to be a little gap all the way along the back until you get to back here. And I believe these tabs here are for hood pins. Not really mentioned in the manual or the build guide anywhere. So that's what we're gonna use them for. And we'll see if we can actually get this thing mounted up here. So next is drilling those holes and riveting those doodads on there. And then what I'm gonna do is just take some foam on the inside here, and I'm just gonna, basically it's an exercise mat that I've used over and over for lots of projects, and I'm just gonna spray adhesive that on the inside of this, so that basically you put the hood on and you kind of push it back, and it's gonna squish that foam between this tab and the hood section, and then it'll just get pinned on the back, and that's all we're gonna have. So that's a plan, that's what's next. That's what we are doing. All right, well, I got this one on, and I got to tell you, there's nothing that looks a little bit more janky than 4 rivets on there, but whatever. Seems to be sturdy enough. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Not gonna bore you. Not gonna bore you with drilling holes and putting rivets in. But once these are done, I'm gonna come back here and figure out hood pin doodad thingy for here. And then we'll probably call the front half of this thing mounted. Then we can come back later, finish up the turbo-y bits and wiring and fire it some point. Anyways, I'm gonna do that side over there, and I'll come back and I'll meet you here somewhere. All right, well, here is the super technical doodabby thingy that I made. I just made a disc of metal there, The only reason these are on this angle up here is because it's gonna match up kind of where I put my little drawings here. Very technical. This is just a piece of exercise mat that I've had around for years, and I keep cutting into smaller bits. We're gonna take the 3M adhesive, we're just gonna take these, stick them on there, and then when you put the hood on from the front, basically you're just gonna get some friction between this and the fiberglass, and it's gonna hold it to the back. And then our hood pins there will hold it in place. That's about it. I mean, that's all Exocet recommends, so it's not super technical. Hopefully it doesn't take off on me while I'm driving, but that's what we got. So I'm gonna maybe do some adhesive right now, and I don't know, I might need to clamp that in place or something. Let that dry for a little bit, I'm not sure. This may be just for later kind of thing, let that set overnight. Maybe I'll work on the hood pin thing right now. All right, well, we're pretty well lined up. This is not fancy by any means. I'm just trying to keep an even gap here between this frame rail and the hood from front to back. Just marked out where I put the hood pins there, and I'm gonna have to drill a hole in this. Got these fancy doodads here that are going to mount to the top of the hood. And then I think this is pretty much done. I was hoping to put something under here for a little bit of support because it's a little bit flexy in the middle, but there's really not anywhere to put that. And also we need to keep it up here because you want a space between the intake and the hood slash cowl thing here. So anyways, I marked underneath, gonna drill some holes, put the hood pins on, and hope for the best. All right, so here's our final setup for the hood. I put some 2x4s underneath right next to where the hood pins come through because I need something for that hood pin to pull this down against. So I'm gonna have to make some kind of 1.5" bracket or some kind of support that's gonna go on that 1-inch square tube that goes across there to support the hood pins, so when this is tight, it pulls everything back. I think it looks pretty good where it is, so I'm gonna, since everything else on this car is held together with rivets, I'm just gonna put these little aluminum doodads on here with some of the rivets that came with the body kit. So I'm gonna do that right now. Then I'm gonna need to put that edge trim all the way around the whole thing. So I'll secure these on here for now, and then I'll figure out the bracing underneath here later. But drill some holes, put some rivets in now. All right, well, I got the hood pins straightened away there. Both sides are mounted up, but I was actually just thinking, I came up here and I thought, you know, if you're going down the road and the wind gets under this, I got those holding the back down, but on the front, it's just the friction fit with the pieces here and here. If you get some wind under there and it starts wobbling, you know, it could wiggle up and start doing that kind of stuff. So fortunately, I had 2 sets of hood pins. I'm just gonna go in here, that vertical piece that the radiator's mounted to, and I'm gonna put another hood pin on the front corner on both sides so that it can't, you know, try and evacuate. So I'm gonna quick do that as well. All right, well, here it is, the end of a very long night and weekend. You can see I've got the hood cowl thing mounted on there. So we've got a hood pin on each front corner and each rear corner. We got those tabs in the middle holding it up. And then I also fabricated some spacers that squeeze right in there that keep this nice and snug here. It's 1.25" square tube that I put some of that exercise mat on, and I screwed the tube to the chassis, and I just riveted the mat to the top of it, so there's you know, like vibration damping. Anyways, it's on there, it's secured, and it's late tonight, so that's basically all I'm gonna get done tonight. But pretty cool looking thing. Gotta really get after it the remainder of the week, obviously, but this is just one more thing checked off the list. Didn't get to the seats at all, but it is approaching 11, and you know, I have that thing that's annoying that's called a real job that I'm gonna have to do. So and with this cold, I think I just need to start the week fresh, so I'm calling it an early night tonight at 11. And yeah, that's gonna do. I'll probably post some shorter updates, so maybe this will just be its own update for tonight since I didn't get around to the seats. That will hopefully be a tomorrow me kind of problem. So anyways, just wanted to show you the hood with the mounts here and the way I did it, and with the notch for the charge tubes on both sides. They got plenty of clearance, they're not gonna rub. And yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight. See you back here tomorrow. All right, well, here's your 0 dark 30 update for Monday. This is what 5 hours of work looks like. Probably doesn't look like much, but it was complete fabrication of the brackets for the seats. We actually got a whole lot done there, and more electrical stuff was done, which is exceedingly boring, but nonetheless necessary. So it is very late, and it's kind of funny. We were working away. I said the last thing I was going to do was drill the holes to mount the brackets for the seats. And basically Joe said, yep, I'm done. See you later. So, you know, hey man, I understand it's late. We got work tomorrow. So I appreciate all the help. Anyways, I'll flip the camera around here, show you what Monday night left us with and what's left to do for, well, this coming weekend. All right, let's show you what we did. All right, well, just start with the most obvious thing, which is that the seats are in. They are not finally bolted in because we need some longer 3/8 grade 8 hardware. So had to fabricate brackets from nothing. So those are the Kirky side braces or side supports for the seat. You can see that I made a platform there. So that's 3/4 inch square tube. It's just got some tabs on the end to just kind of wrap around the square tube of the chassis. There's 1/4 inch plate on top of that. So basically there's some pieces that go front to back, and then the horizontal pieces are there to catch the Kirky brace here for the side. So I had to make all that up. And then the 3/8 grade 8 hardware is going to go from top down on both sides. This thing here, this is the tab supposedly for the crotch strap for your 5-point harness. Well, it's actually not anywhere near the middle. I don't know if I can get the perspective on this, but if you look, nope, can't see. It lines up basically over here, which is not good. So drilled another hole. We'll bolt the harness directly through that square tube. There was a whole lot of modification that had to happen because this particular seat, where the wing is here, I had to clearance that to fit around the tube on the body there. So that was its own amount of work there, trimming that so that this would fit. The passenger seat, I just moved it forward a little bit to avoid that problem. Basically the same bracket is made on the passenger seat. You can kind of see here from the back. It just bridges from front to back with the square tube, and then the horizontal 1/4 inch plate, and everything's bolted together. And then that's bolted to this, which holds the seat up. Here you can see, fabricated a little battery tray here. Used some just angle iron to create this little box to surround it. Cut this down to size. That's left over from the turbo kit. Joe shortened the battery cables. So it's got a nice little home here behind the passenger seat. Up front, Joe was doing a lot of this stuff, which basically was, making magic happen here. Lots of wires. He thinned down the harness a whole bunch. We got the fuel line from Flying Miata, did get the shock spacers. They just came in bare metal because I ordered them at the last minute. So tomorrow I'll take these off, put the spacers in, and bolt everything back up. Turbo stuff, that was done before. Again, more magical wiring hanging out all over the place. That's going to be some lights and such. What else? Basically, I fit mostly, so that's good news. And tomorrow, like I said, shock spacers go in, bolt the seats down finally. Got to work on the rear body panel thing and trim this thing down. And then hook lights up and things like that. And, you know, just get ready to leave on Saturday morning. It seems like a great plan. Good idea. All right. Well, anyways, that's Monday night. It's super late. See you later. I will post some kind of update during the week, maybe Wednesday, show everybody where things are standing here. So that's that. Hope you're having a good week.
The battery terminal went light, so you might have to put them on.
Do you think there's bad ground, maybe? Yeah. Great. Great. Much. Hey. Well, it is late at night on Thursday, but I do have some awesome news and an update. Joe and I worked our asses off for the past week. I don't know who contributed more, probably Joe. But anyways, we did a lot of fabrication. We did a lot of figuring things out and solving problems. And we now have an Exocet that is on the ground, running, ripping, and freaking awesome. So, windshield is off right now because it's at the glass cutter. That's going to be cut. Actually, it might have been cut today, and I'll pick it up tomorrow to put it, excuse me, to put it on there. Tomorrow morning, it's getting an alignment and ripping it out on Saturday for the tail of the dragon. So I'm going to flip the camera around here, take you around, and show you what was done. It was a lot of work to get where we did. So pretty excited to kind of show you everything that was done to make it look like this. And then I'll start it up for you, let it rip because, yeah, straight pipe. That flying me out of turbo lets you know that it's there. So this thing is going to be one wild ride. I'll give you a walk around. Super happy. All right, well, quite honestly, I can't even tell you where the last video update that I had was. And all I know is that it took a lot of late nights and working on this thing and working through a cold and staying up and just being tired and building. So I've said this before, if you are not an established, pretty, skilled fabricator or have experience doing work on cars, you probably don't want to try this just in your garage by yourself. Go for it if you want to, but there's definitely a lot more involved than just, putting together pieces for a kit car. So I don't even know where to start because everything is done. Absolutely everything. So I think I showed for sure, fabricating the seat brackets. The other thing I did is I fabricated seat braces for the back of the seats here, just to hold the seat upright. So your harness, when you snug your harness down, you're not going to pull the seat back. So that was a bunch of fabrication tonight. Fabricating the seat mounts was its own thing. I had to fabricate an exhaust from the front to the rear. I will probably lift it up here in just a little bit to show you that. Mounting the trunk doodad, I don't know. That's its own pain in the butt. Fortunately, Joe has this thing about doing wiring, and he got all the lights there. While he was doing that, I fabricated a new filler neck, which required going to the parts store and looking at some hoses and coming up with a plan and making that up as we went. Obviously got mirrors on there. I bought some headlights. I bought some just turn signals for a motorcycle. We did get the shock mounts. The shock mounts are installed. That makes the ride height a little bit better. The hood is obviously on. I think I showed, or at least recorded the video of that. I don't know if I put it out there. So I got my hood pins here, and inside here, seats obviously all mounted. While I was doing other stuff, I don't even remember what I was doing at the moment. Maybe I was doing the exhaust, but got our gauge pod there with voltmeter, air fuel ratio, and boost gauge. All the factory gauges do work. Cut my hole for my shifter and put the boot in there. Custom battery mount, which is right back there behind the passenger seat. Yeah, so that's it on the top side. I will lift it up, show you the bottom side, and then start it up for you. So again, I think it's going to be awesome. Sitting in the thing is pretty epic. That's all I got to say. So I'll show you the underside and what I did there, and then start it up for you. All right, well, here it is from the underside. So got the intercooler up here, radiator here, of course. Going back, depowered steering rack. Right now, it's just looped. Didn't do the take it out and remove the piston or whatever it was to do the formal depowering. But what I had to do went under here multiple times in and out just to get the downpipe from Flying Miata back to here. We used that, and then you can see here, this is the bung for their air fuel ratio sensor. You use the stock O2 sensor up front, and then here. Then what I had to do was fabricate basically just the straight pipe. Some people I've seen online with an LS swap. I have no idea how they get that in there, because this thing is, you're just jam-packed and tight. Now, I guess with an LS swap, you're not going to have this rail running down this side. But anyways, finding a place to put a bracket for the exhaust to hang, or a hanger for that. It's basically just 2.5 inch straight pipe all the way back. It rips. I will start it up and let you hear that. Finding new routes for the parking brake cables was an adventure. We actually ran the fuel line on the inside of this, rail here, all the way down. This is my brake line for the rear brakes. Back here, not a lot to see other than the stock diff. Can't show you any of the wonderful wiring that Joe did in there, but that was pretty clean, looks good. So that's about it down here, and I will let it down now and let you hear the glorious turbo from Flying Miata and hear this thing absolutely scream. Well, there's not much to this part other than just letting it rip. Well, anyways, there you go. That's the build. With two guys, pretty experienced in builds, you could do this in a couple weeks. If not, plan on it taking a long time. I'm probably gonna do an overview when all is said and done. I'll post video of us doing the Tail of the Dragon this weekend. And I think at the end of all things being said and done, I'm gonna kind of post a review of the whole process of the build, so you have a better idea of what you can expect, or what you might be getting from Exocet and what your plans should be if you're kind of a novice thinking about building this thing. But anyways, I gotta get inside, clean up, get to bed because it's late, and button up a few things tomorrow before ripping out to Carolina and Tennessee. So appreciate everybody watching. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for coming back.
Are we out of gas? Uh-oh. You don't think like that, right? Like, it's only been started like 3 times. That motor
That's a really silly place to put your nest,